Alright, what is up, gamers? We're back. Made a video about Mill, and now it's time to make a video about Reanimator, okay? AKA, please mill me. Alright? Mill, pretty good against Reanimator in a good way. Like, they play into it. I love Mill if I play Reanimator. And making this video, inspired me. Alright, so let's talk about some cool Reanimator commanders that I found. Alright, this guy, kind of my favorite out of the three that I'm about to show. Chainer Dementia Master. Okay, pretty sick. All nightmares get +1/+1. Cool. But then 3 black, pay 3 life. By the way, not a tap ability. You can do this anytime you want. Just pay the 3 black and 3 life. Put target creature card from a graveyard, so this could be your homies, onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is black and is a nightmare in addition to its other creature types. When it leaves, exile all nightmares. So, for 3 mana and 3 life, you can bring somebody out of somebody else's graveyard, and then if they dare to kill your chainer, then it exiles, right? So then you just get to be like, goodbye, okay, later. Obviously, they're going to target your commander, but, you're paying life for it, which is pretty sick. This guy, Araumi of the Dead Tide, 3 mana. Basically, you tap exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. So, anywhere from 1 to 3. And then target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. And then its Encore cost is equal to its mana cost. So you can just basically cast spells from your graveyard. But Encore means you exile the card, so you can only do this once. And pay its mana cost. And then for each opponent, you create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn, if able. They gain haste, and then you sack them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. So on your turn, you tap this guy, exile 1 to 3 cards, cast a big scary dude from your graveyard, and it makes 1 to 3 copies of it attacking. And you get 3 enter the battlefields, 3 leave the battlefields. Crazy. Awesome. Big enter the battlefield stuff. Haste, so they're attacking. Take a lot of damage. And this guy's pretty cool for 3 mana. Definitely interesting. And he seemed a little low-key on the Reanimator deck lists, Then we got this guy. Grixis. Oh, me love Grixis. Okay, this guy is Cedrus, the Trader King. He's 3 blue, 3 and Grixis. Okay? Each creature card in your graveyard has Unearth for 2 and a black. So you return it to the battlefield. It gains haste, and then you exile it at the beginning of the next end step, or if it leave the battlefield. Unearth only as a sorcery. So basically, you can just unearth a whole bunch of stuff for 2 and a black, and you get the card back, so you can do some shenanigans with that, right? And then you exile it, and it's pretty sick. So you just get to reanimate stuff for really cheap. So you want to put a lot of big costs in this Cedrus deck, as well as some of the Chainer decks as well. And then Araumi, you're gonna want to cheat. So let's talk about cheating. But first we gotta talk about some of the scary dudes. These are some scary dudes that you want to run in these decks. All right, Sepulchral Primordial. All right, he's got Intimidate. But what really matters is when he enters the battlefield, you may put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So you just go, all right, I got 3 homies, yoink, yoink, and yoink. Okay, pretty sweet. If you're running the Araumi, right, you get 3 copies of this guy. So it'll drop even, what is that, 9 creatures, right? 1 from your homie, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so about 9 creatures onto your board. Crazy. Awesome. And the other ones as well, because you get that awesome enter the battlefield. This guy's sick. Worm Coil Engine. Okay, remember some of the text where they get sacrificed at the end of turn? Yeah. When this dude dies, you get the tokens. And the tokens don't care about the other stuff, right? This is its own thing. So you get Death Touch and Lifelink. So if you're paying life, you get more life back. So basically, it pays for itself. And it's pretty sweet. Very good. Death Touch, Lifelink, pretty sick. And 6 mana, not too bad. So you could cast that not too terribly from your graveyard if you want to do that as well. And we got Archon of Cruelty. This dude's freaky, right? Flying. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, so it'll get to enter the battlefield, and then I'm pretty sure the attack trigger as well because it starts attacking instantly. I might be wrong. Target opponent sacks a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, and loses 3 life, and then you draw a card and gain 3 life. So in these, you don't want to run your reliquary towers or anything like that. You want to draw cards so you can throw stuff into discard, which is pretty good. But it makes some sack stuff, which is crazy good in Commander. You make a couple copies of this guy, boom. You're reanimating him, boom. Like, you pay 3 black mana with the Chainer. He comes in, he makes you draw a card, and then you only paid 3 black mana for him because you gained 3 life off of him, right? Awesome. Really awesome. Super good. Now let's get into the cheating part, because there's some cheaty stuff you can do here where your dudes don't actually leave at the end of combat. So we got Sundial the Infinite. 1 mana tap, end the turn. Activate this ability only during your turn. So basically, everything on the stack, like, this guy would be exiled, or this guy gets sacrificed. No, they don't. They stick around. They still have some of the triggers, so like if they exile, they actually don't come back. But don't worry about it. Sundial the Infinite, pretty sick. Same thing, Obeka, Brute Chronologist, so that would be in the Grixis color. But it gets rid of that Unearth trigger where they would leave, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure, since this dude comes in with haste, if you reanimate this guy with his own thing, you can tap him and end it right there and just keep him, which is pretty cool. And then Conjurer's Closet. So this doesn't work on the tokens because they leave. But the Grixis Cedrus deck, this guy comes back as well, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty good to bounce your reanimating things around. So some big swings. These are some like sorcery stuff you can use to reanimate when your commander's not out, or you're doing some other shenanigans. I like Living Death. I'm pretty sure this is a classic. 5 mana. You just exile all creature cards from their graveyard, and then everyone sacks their stuff they control, and then they put all cards exile. So basically you flop, you flip. You flip and flop. All your stuff on your board dies. Everything in your graveyard, boom, onto the battlefield. It's basically like everyone gets their own living Rise of the Dark Realms kind of thing. So instead of like everybody going onto your side, everyone just gets their own. So you're milling yourself, you're killing, you're discarding. You want more stuff in your graveyard than your homies. Classic, gotta throw in the Reanimate. 1 black. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. So you're gonna want some ways to gain life in the Reanimator deck. That way you can sort of cheat your taxes and pay less for what you're bringing back. So then we got Incarnation Technique. I saw this one and I thought this was super cool because basically you can demonstrate it. So you let somebody else mill 5 cards and then they can reanimate their own thing. So I'd give this to like someone who just has mana dorks in their graveyard or something not very good. If they just dropped their Elish Norn or their Shieldreds or any of the freaking Phyrexians, don't do this to them. Those guys are too good. Give it to someone else or make, Politic. It's a fun Politic card. And then you get to mill 10 and put 2 dudes onto your battlefield for 5 mana, which is pretty good. Considering you don't have to pay like life costs or anything like that. It's only upside pretty much for you in a reanimation deck. And then, because of some YouTube comments, we got Sawn Half as well. This is pretty good. You destroy your own creature, so it'll go into the graveyard, and then you make 2 copies of it that are like half its power and toughness, and you round up. So it's basically like you put a guy in the graveyard, and then you get 2 token copies of him that you can reanimate. Not the copies, but you can reanimate him back in and stuff. Pretty nuts indeed. Doesn't work with legendary stuff because it'll legend rule itself. But pretty cool because you can just keep 1 legend token copy and the other one. Whatever. It's pretty sick. You can saw him in half. It's Unfinity. Look at that art. It's so silly. All right. Balancing Act. Here comes some of the life gaining things I found. We got, I think they call him Gary in the local circles, right? Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Enters the battlefield. Each opponent loses X life, where X is the devotion of black. A lot of these decks are running heavy black. So you gain a lot of life from this, and they lose a lot of life. So you can just kind of bounce this guy back and forth, you know what I mean? If you got some sack outlets and ways to, gain mana, everything like that, which we'll talk about a little bit. You can just kind of bounce this guy around. Noxious Gear Hulk as well, so you can sack him, do something, get him in your graveyard, discard him, bring him in your battlefield. He's a removal spell, so you can just removal him. If you're dropping 3 copies of him, you just get to destroy 3 things, getting so much life. Noxious Gear Hulk is crazy good, and it's menace and a 5/4. And you're playing against high toughness dudes, low toughness dudes, whatever. Who cares? You just destroy everybody's commanders. You know what I mean? You drop them in, pretty good. And I saw this guy. He's a 2-drop, so I kind of like him because he's lower on the curve. You got a lot of high mana stuff. You want a little low mana stuff you can play before you can get really going. 1 colorless, sack, so you can have a sack outlet, which is pretty good. You gain life equal to the sack refaced creature's toughness, so pretty good. That way you can sort of keep your life going around to be spending it. And then, of course, we got the value from dying. This is kind of the end of the video. We got Black Market. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add that much mana for each, that much black mana to your mana pool for each charge counter. So if you reanimate a whole bunch of stuff, right, and then you go fight, and then they die, next turn you just get to reanimate them again at heavy discount or free. You know what I mean? Plus, you're killing your enemies. So if one guy comes in, let's say that Noxious Gear Hulk we just had, he comes in, he kills a dude, all right, and then he dies himself, right? That's 2 black mana that you get, and it's pretty good. You're already getting 2 black mana. This card's pretty sick. It's pretty sick, and it counts for the pips or whatever. You get a whole bunch of devotion. Who cares? Alter Dementia. You use this on yourself to mill more guys in your graveyard, because some of your graveyard is going to get exiled over time, so you're going to want to keep it going. People will play your Bajuka Bogs against you, etc. Your graveyard hate, but it's still Alter Dementia is a classic. You're gonna want it. And then we got Astronaut's Altar. It's not quite as good as the other, I think, the Phyrexian Altar, where they get the color mana of your choice, because you can use that to like keep going with the black reanimation kind of thing, going with the chainer. But you sack it and get 2 colorless, so that can pay for the unearth cost, etc. This stuff's just crazy good. Reanimation's crazy good. Looking to build some cool reanimation in the future, because I'm scarred for life because of Mill. So, I mean, if you're scarred for life like me, build some reanimation decks. It's crazy fun and crazy awesome. Yeah, have a good one, gamers.